On today's program, I'll be interviewing a man who went from pre-diabetic to raging diabetic in less than a year. According to him, it was a vegan diet that did him in. He was starting to go blind and he feels he was near death. But when he discovered keto, he made a 180-degree turn and his blood sugar levels started dropping. Today, his glucose numbers are below the diabetic level and he's doing just fine. Jerry Carter's amazing and powerful story is coming up. Well, folks, I am so happy to have a wonderful man by the name of Jerry Carter with us today. I'm going to be talking to him about his diabetic issues and how he overcame them. Jerry, welcome to the Beat Diabetes channel.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
It is great to have you, Jerry, and I want to share what got my attention. Jerry left a comment under one of my videos, and here's what he said. It wasn't long, but it was powerful. He said, "I don't care what people think. I had diabetes, and I was near death, and now I have it reversed from 561 blood sugar to about 95. Most just want you to still buy chips, eat high carbs, etc., and stay on meds." So, Jerry, that's what you wrote, and you really got my attention with that. Tell us a little bit about how it all began with your problems with blood sugar. Did you ever think you would be diabetic? Did this come on suddenly? Tell us a little bit of how you first found out that you had some blood sugar problems.
It was towards the beginning of last year. My doctor told me I was pre-diabetic. From mostly being overweight, so I wanted to take steps to get that under control.
Now, did he give you an A1C at that time, or do you know any of your numbers at that time?
I didn't ask her she didn't give me the A1C. I think I had the blood test, but I didn't pay too much attention to it, because she just said I'm pre-diabetic and you need to watch it. And we didn't really go into it too much.
Okay, so, and that was how long ago?
That was towards the beginning of last year, around about March.
Okay, so, you know, this is amazing to me, Jerry, because you had blood sugar of up to 561, but like a year and a half ago or so, you were just pre-diabetic, which would mean your blood sugar wasn't much. In other words, you went from pre-diabetic to incredibly high diabetic, extreme diabetes, in a very short time. Have any idea how or why that happened like that?
Yes, sir. Basically, once my doctor told me I was pre-diabetic, I decided to make a change. I figured that would be healthy for me. So I decided that I'm gonna try to go vegan. I've watched a lot of vegans on YouTube, and a lot of them are nice and they're in shape, and so I went from how I was eating to I said I'm gonna start vegan. I'm gonna start just eating a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit, and the pre-made vegan meats that are not meat, that are made of but however, most of the meat products, non-meats, are made up of vital wheat gluten, which is very high in carbs and every other thing, and me eating more fruit. Most of the fruits I ate were a lot of sweet fruits like bananas, mangoes, watermelons, melons, any type of melons. And going, being that I was already sensitive, being pre-diabetic, going every morning eating fruit, lots of fruits and the vegetables, it eventually it just took my blood sugar, you know, all the way up sky high. So
Okay, so let me ask you this, Jerry. When you say you went vegan, I mean, were you really strict about your vegan diet? In other words, no meat at all, no dairy at all, that sort of a thing, no eggs at all, or were you sort of half vegan and half not?
it was strict. I was just going to have straight vegetables, fruit, and whatever vegan prepared foods that you see, like if you go shopping into any supermarket, and that was it. Like I was going to overload myself on mostly fruits and vegetables, and left at that. And then I watch a lot of vegan shows. How do you prepare your meats out of out of the vital wheat gluten? I did a lot of preparing my meats out of the of the wheat gluten, and I kept it at that.
So this was your first do-it-yourself attempt to fix your pre-diabetes, and somehow you had watched a lot of vegans, I suppose, talking about how healthy that diet was. And as a pre-diabetic, you assume that if I do this, I will take care of my diabetes. And I guess for a while you didn't know which way it was going until you went to the doctor. Is that right?
No, well, once I say around the middle of last year, it didn't get any better. I wasn't looking well. I was drinking more water, and it had at that point it took its toll on me, and I knew something was wrong.
Even without a doctor telling you, you've got a much higher A1C or your fasting glucose is higher or whatever, you could just tell by the way you were feeling this wasn't really doing you much good.
No, it's like I said, it took me over my blood sugar way higher than what I wanted it to be. Because before then I would try different diets, and but still was eating carbs, so that never helped me. So that always kept me pre-diabetic. So making that choice, and like I said, I'm not saying that whoever is vegan, they may be doing it right and they may be in shape, but for me personally, it took my blood sugar way overboard.
Were you testing yourself and you were looking at the numbers and saying, man, this is getting worse instead of better? Or it was just by the way you felt?
No, far as going vegan, I figured that this is the healthy way to go. One of the healthy ways to get back and get my blood sugar under control, and I didn't really worry about it. I just focused on trying to be as vegan as I could.
Now, how long was this vegan diet? How long did you do it before you felt so terrible that you realized, man, this just isn't working?
I'd say from the beginning of last year, it was towards around May. That's when it started taking a toll on my blood sugar, taking it up to where I needed to go see the doctor again.
Okay, so from the beginning of last year till May of last year, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And so you're feeling terrible, you go to see the doctor. What do you find out when you go there?
Well, she took a blood test, and I didn't know. She didn't know till the following couple of days later. That's when they give you the results of your blood test, and then I had to call and find out, and they actually told me that I had developed type 2 diabetes, and I need to come back in to see the doctor so she can prescribe the medication for me, and and how I should be eating.
Okay, and so you go there. Now, was this when you mentioned you had a 561 glucose level? Was this when you had that, or was that later on?
That's when I found out my blood sugar level. After she took my blood test towards the middle of the year, I went back. Because the nurse just told me I had developed type 2 diabetes over the phone, but she wanted me to come in and speak to the doctor to get all the details. So a couple of days later, I went in to see the doctor. That's when she told me what my blood sugar was, what I needed to do, what type of medications I need to get on, and American go to the website American Diabetes Association and things like that.
So, Jerry, your blood sugar was incredibly high. I mean, 561 is just, you can't get much higher and stay alive. Did the doctor impress on you just how serious this was? And what kind of advice or encouragement did she give you in terms of diet and nutrition, or was it mostly about the meds?
She said it was pretty horrible. Yeah, she said you need to get it under control immediately. And she said, I'm gonna put you on metformin right away. But she wanted me to see an endocrinologist in a week or so I can go to diabetes classes and develop a plan that for diabetes that I would be eating from now on. And she probably would prescribe. She said she probably would put me on insulin too. When I see her, but for now, she was going to prescribe for me metformin, and she wanted me to go see the endocrinologist a few weeks after that, and then come back to see her once I speak with them.
So what was your attitude, Jerry, when you found all this out? Were you scared? Were you just determined, I've got to find some other answer? You had tried the vegan way and that wasn't working? Or did you just think, okay, if I do what the doctor says and take all the medicine, I'll be okay? How did you respond with all of this?
When you first hear something that you don't know anything about, you get scared, of course. That's because you don't know what type of effect it can have on you. My grandfather had diabetes and he passed from it. And so immediately what I went in looking into is to see what I can do to reverse the situation. But of course, if someone tell you you have some type of illness, it develops fear because you don't know what could happen to you from that.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the classes you were encouraged to take. A lot of times the doctor will refer you to a dietitian and you'll take classes and they'll tell you, depending on their perspective, what you should do. Some will say, follow the ADA's recommendation of 45 to 60 grams of carbs per meal. Others might tell you different. Did you take any classes? Did you see any dietitian? Or did you just say, I've got to do some research on my own?
Well, she wanted me to go to classes, but I never went. I decided to do some research on my own. Because some of the things that they wanted me to eat was basically some of the stuff I was already eating, like the grain or whole grain rice. They wanted me to have the whole grain bread,
And you were already doing that.
I was already having that before, and and I already know from experience that wouldn't help me out. So, like if I keep eating this way, then I'm just stay on medication, which is not what I wanted to do. So.
Yeah, well, the definition of insanity is often said to be to keep doing the same thing you've always done and expect different results. So it's good to know you're not insane. You had enough sense to say, I've got to do something different. You said, I wanted to do some research on my own. What was the nature of that research? Did you read, watch YouTube videos? What did you find? Who did you listen to? What kind of advice did you finally decide might work for you?
Well, first thing I did, I started going to the library, researching diabetes and what's the cause of it. Read a lot of books, and then I'm on YouTube a lot, so I started looking at a lot of YouTube videos. First thing I said I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut out sugar. That was the number one thing I would do, and then I would be shopping in the little small diabetic section that's in all of the supermarkets.
Well, your blood sugar went from 561 down to 95. You found some answers. What would you say were some of the most important things that you learned as you did your research? You watched videos, you read books, you were a diligent inquirer about what can I do, and you obviously learned some things. I mean, you have found something that has worked for you, Jerry, tremendously. What did you learn? What can you pass on that might help some others?
The number one thing I was doing, I was experimenting. Like a lot of time things you do on your channel, like experiment what affects your blood sugar, whatnot. Um, I realized that eating any of the fruits spiked my blood sugar, so I started cutting most of that out. Cereals, I just started checking my blood sugar after every meal, and to see how it affected, what raised it, what didn't, which foods were safe, which mostly was vegetables and low carb foods, no starches, cut out all the starches, and
So you gave up on potatoes, rice, corn, that sort of a thing?
yes, sir. I researched what sugar is and what everything is contained in, which pretty much everything, sugars in everything, almost everything that you go and buy in the supermarket. So I had to research how I can avoid the sugar long enough to heal.
Yeah, so you started doing this, and did you see some results on you were essentially crafting your own diabetic diet based on the kind of post-meal blood sugar test that you were getting. Did you start to see some results fairly quickly?
Yes, sir. Like I say, probably towards me making that change with cutting out the sugar and testing my blood sugar, what spikes it or not, it started going down. Went in about a month and a half. It went from 561 to the mid 200s. Even though it went down that quickly, that's when I started losing my eyesight. It started getting real bad. My eyesight kind of reversed itself. I could barely see anything further than maybe 4 feet in front of me, and so I had to get glasses to correct that eyesight. And so I went back to the endocrinologist. She wanted to put me on more medication, but I wasn't happy with that. So that's when I started researching, looking up keto, the keto diet.
And when you found that, apparently you were impressed enough to give it a try.
Yes, sir. Just did a lot of research, reading books on it, and YouTube videos, watching, and what they said, it just made a lot of sense for me, and it started working for me. I started losing weight. Always been, really overweight, but from the beginning of the last year towards the middle, when I got the type 2 diabetes, I got really big, and I think that's what probably helped push me over the edge as far as the going to type 2.
Okay, so let me ask you this. It sounds like that when you did the vegan diet for a while, you actually gained weight on that. Is that correct?
I did, because my body was just absorbing all of the sugar and storing it, all of the fruits I was eating, all of the the floury foods, the potatoes, the sweet potatoes. It was just storing it, and it's just constantly storing it. I already had a slow metabolism to start with, so it just kept storing it until I got to that point.
Yeah, so when you went to the keto diet, I mean, you were already making some progress just by testing yourself and cutting out certain foods. When you went keto, you apparently dropped your carbs even lower, and you saw better results still.
Yes, sir. So towards the end of last year, I decided I want to start doing keto. Um, you just know, I just noticed immediate results. The weight started coming off. I say I was probably around 360 uh, towards the end of last year, and now I'm around 270. So I'm still on a journey on my way back to getting healthy.
You've lost about 90 pounds, it sounds like, already.
Yes, sir. And so I tried a lot of different herbs like cinnamon and stuff like that. Because those are one of the things that are known to help, lower your blood sugar. While I was starting the keto diet, and week after week it just kept going down. So I said I'm gonna stick with it. And right now is today it's under control. It's in the mid 90s now. My last blood test, my doctors told me my A1C is the 6 now. It was about a 12.
So it was a 6.0, your last A1C?
It was 6, yes, 6.0.
Now, Jerry, your doctor should have been absolutely amazed at the progress you made. Did she express that at all, or did she just act like, well, okay, you're doing better? What was her response to the phenomenal progress you made?
Well, she didn't seem very excited. Yeah, she just seemed like it's like when you're not using a lot of medication that they're putting you on, it seems like that some of them are not satisfied. And
she was a little bit grumpy with you for not taking all the medication that she was wanting you to take. Is that the idea?
yes, sir.
Wow.
It's not, and I was always speaking to her about me wanting to lose weight and be more healthier, and it was like spoke to me for like 5 minutes and took all my information, then left the room and moved on to the next patient, and focused on whatever else I needed that I may have had problems with. It wouldn't. Oh, you look great. Or what are you doing? How are you doing? This. It was none of that. It was like, okay, let's move to the next thing, and you know.
Well, I have to say, Jerry, that's just sad. You would think your doctor should be so supportive, so excited, so encouraging. And, we've even had cases where people say, well, my doctor was so excited about my progress, he's starting to recommend a keto diet or a low-carb diet to others. But in this case, she didn't seem too impressed. But you have been down now with blood sugar in the 90s instead of the 500s, and that has been for how long? How long has it been since you really got control of things?
Say probably around February of this year. I've come to a level where I pretty much eat the same things, so I know my blood sugar stayed the same. I'll say towards the beginning of this year.
Well, Jerry, that is just awesome. I am so happy for you, so excited. And, you are, I interview a number of different guests, and they're all different. They all have their own unique aspects of their stories. But one thing they have in common, and that is they have a determination to find answers. They don't just accept the status quo. They don't just, say, well, I'll just do what the ADA says. They find some answers. They end up cutting the carbs. In a sense, your blood sugar monitor was kind of your dietitian. You didn't go to the dietitian classes, but your blood sugar monitor had a lot to say about your new diet, didn't it?
Yes, sir. And it still does today. I still check it maybe once or twice a week to check, see what may or may not raise my blood sugar. But other than that, you just have to find a plan for yourself that that works for you. Not every plan is going to work for everybody, so you had to choose the right one for you, and make sure you do a lot of research on what you're doing before you start it.
Jerry, I appreciate so much you sharing your story, and I know you're going to be a powerful inspiration to others. Like you say, they may not exactly copy everything about what you did, but they can at least be inspired. There are answers, and we need to find those answers. Thanks so much, Jerry.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Don't you love it? Sadly, there are some folks who probably will not love it. There will always be a few hardcore types who get all grumpy and give videos like this one a thumbs down. These are typically people who are so biased in their ideas about what they feel is the only proper diet, it drives them up a wall to hear someone who found deliverance from diabetes with some other diet, in this case, a keto diet. But I know most of you are going to rejoice with me at the tremendous victory Jerry Carter has seen in his life as he brought his blood sugar levels down from the 500s into the 90s. Wow, wow, wow. I want you to remember my new book is available along with a special DVD dedicated to the person who's just been diagnosed with diabetes. Check out the description below for a link to take you to our diabetes resources page. If you appreciated this amazing testimony, give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel and then clicking on the bell icon so you'll be notified every time we post a new video. God bless. See you again soon.